Hello, thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5 with your news at noon. I'm Kayla King, and these are the stories that we are tracking. Small hedge fund delivers historic blow to ExxonMobil, wins 2 board seats to represent climate change issues. Dutch court orders oil giant to slash emissions by 45%. Woman robbed by armed bandit dressed in a police uniform, and Bartica among areas flooded after heavy rainfall. CDC says above normal high tides expected. Stay tuned to stay informed. Welcome back, and now for the news in detail. Engine number 1, a relatively small hedge fund, delivered a massive blow to ExxonMobil Corporation, America's powerhouse in the fossil fuel industry, as it was able to get 2 of its 4 nominees elected to the company's board. In the preliminary results released yesterday for the annual shareholders meeting, elected from Engine number 1's nominees were Gregory Goff and Kaieteur. It is understood that Goff has a long track record of success in the energy industry. He was named one of the best performing CEOs in the world by Harvard Business Review in 2018. With regard to Ms. Hitler, Engine 1 was keen to note that she is an experienced leader in strategic transformation in the energy sector who began her career in oil and gas exploration and crude oil training. In a statement, ExxonMobil Corporation said the board will reconsider 2 shareholder proposals that received majority shareholder approval, one of which is dedicated to climate lobbying. For decades, fossil fuel producers have been dodging accountability for the role they play in climate crisis. But yesterday marked a turning point in history as a court in the Netherlands ordered Royal Dutch Shell, the world's 3rd largest oil giant, to reduce its carbon emissions by 45% compared to 2019 levels. It has up to 2030 to reduce emissions of its subsidiaries, suppliers, and customers through group policy. The district court in The Hague did not say how the Anglo-Dutch energy giant should achieve the ordered cutback, saying that it has complete freedom in how it meets its reduction obligation and in shaping the Shell Group's corporate policy. But what the court made pellucid is that the oil king has a duty to reduce emissions and that its current reduction plans were not just enough. Meanwhile, an armed bandit who was dressed in police uniform on Tuesday robbed and attacked a 53-year-old woman at her Land of Canaan East Bank Demerara residence. The woman, whose name was not released by police, reported that sometime around 15:55 hours, while conversing with a relative via a phone, the male perpetrator invaded her premises. According to police, the woman claimed that the man in uniform and a gun in his hand approached her and demanded that she hand over all her belongings. She further explained that he then tried to force her into her house, but she resisted. This, however, resulted in a brief scuffle, during which she received a lash to her head with his handgun. Before making good his escape, she reported that the man relieved her of a Samsung Galaxy S9 cell phone. The police have since apprehended 3 male suspects as they continue their investigations. Now let's tell you Bartica Region 7 is among several other areas which experienced severe flooding on Independence Day as a result of heavy rainfall. The Civil Defense Commission has since warned residents living on the coastline to be on the lookout for above normal high tides, which may result in overtopping of rivers and sea defenses. Most of Guyana woke up yesterday to cloudy skies, which turned into heavy rainfall that continued throughout the day. For residents in Bartica, it was the same, or so it seemed, but when water began entering their homes, it took them by surprise. It is now 12 hours 6. Coming up after the break, 6 more succumb to COVID-19, 236 new cases and 20 in ICU. Police officers exposed to training as ministry tackles child abuse. President Ali reaffirms Guyana will not be bullied by Venezuela, says international law is not silent. Justice will be determined by ICJ. Do stay tuned.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Now let's tell you the Ministry of Health has added 6 more persons to its list of COVID-19 related fatalities. The dead persons have been identified as a 47-year-old female and an 80-year-old male from Upper Takutu, Upper Essequibo region. A 53-year-old female, a 73-year-old male, a 60-year-old female, and a 67-year-old male from Demerara, Mahaica. According to a chart released from the ministry, the 6 deaths were recorded between May 24th and 25th, 2021. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry recorded 236 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. According to its updated COVID-19 dashboard, the total number of confirmed cases in the country is now 16,556. It was also pointed out that so far, some 14,144 persons have recovered from the life-threatening virus. Further, there are 2,018 persons in home and institutional isolation, 5 more persons in institutional quarantine, and 20 persons in the COVID-19 ICU. As the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security seeks to strengthen collaboration with the Guyana Police Force on the issue of child abuse, a cross-training exercise was conducted recently with approximately 60 officers who were brought up to speed on the subject. The initiative, held at the Officers Training Center in Kingston, was conducted by Director of Children's Services and Head of Child Care and Protection Agency, Anne Green, along with the ministry's legal counsel, Talisha Williams. This latest exercise, the ministry related in a release, is in keeping with Minister Vinya Prasad's vision for effective childcare in Guyana and her plans to roll out several projects to aid in the protection of children. Guyana observed its 55th anniversary yesterday, and in doing so, Head of State Dr. Irfan Ali reaffirmed the country's and people's right to exercise its sovereignty over its territorial space, and as such will not be cowed or bullied by the aggressive actions of its western neighbor, Venezuela, laying claim to some 2/3 of the country. Dr. Ali gave the reaffirmation during the country's flag-raising observances to mark the 55th anniversary on Tuesday evening, and reminded that international law is not silent and that justice will be determined at the International Court of Justice, where the matter is presently being litigated. He reminded that Venezuela has, over the last 55 years of Guyana's independence, pursued its claim, but international law is not silent. Dr. Ali as such pronounced that the International Court of Justice is the forum where the voice of the international law will be heard and justice will be determined. According to Worldometer, the worldwide number of coronavirus cases is now at 169.2 million, whereas deaths are at 3.5 million, and in the case of recoveries, 150.9 million. That just brings us about to the end of our news at noon, but before we go, let's head over to the page 7, which is dedicated to being blunt. Our national leaders in government and opposition have to be among the most presumptuous people around. There they were telling the nation in their Independence Day messages about dreams and dreaming and benefiting. Nothing is wrong with that. What is wrong is with them, because they are so presumptuous to talk about dreams and dreaming when they are leading all of us down a nightmarish path. The dream has become a nightmare and will be one that Guyanese live unless they force leaders to change for the better. The betterment of all Guyanese, not these fluffy messages that means nothing. And that just about brings us to the end of your news at noon. I am Kayla King. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Coming your way at this time is a short commentary from the publisher of the